Hey guys, Jason here, and before I started this video, I walked around and thought about doing it in the studio where we normally do it with the backdrop and everything, and thought, no, what I want to talk about, I don't want to use the studio. And then I thought, well, where could I do this at? And I thought about using our stage and thought, no, I don't want to use the stage. I want to be simple. So I decided without lights, without even a proper camera, I'm just using my phone without any mics. I want to go right here in our auditorium, just in the chairs. Because what I want to talk to you about is something really simple, but really powerful. I want to put some perspective on something for you. Did you know that there's been recent studies that say that 10%, only 10% of churches in America actually have more than, say, 300 people in it. 300. And for a lot of people that you ask, what's a large church? A lot of people would say in their frame of thinking, 1,000 or more. But 10% of churches in the U.S., only 10% of churches even have 300 or more. Wrap your brain around that for a minute. In fact, a small percentage of churches in the first place only have 100 or more. Think about that for a minute. So if you are in a church right now that has 100 or less, you're in the majority. You're not in the minority. So why is it that churches that are in the majority feel so much like they're the outcast? You know, it's amazing that we spend so much of our time as worship leaders always looking at whose grass is greener on the other side, or who we need to keep up with, which Joneses, which major mega churches we need to keep up with. And don't we all do it? Especially churches that fit in that majority category. Churches that are in the higher percentage, that are less than 100 or less than 300. What's so-and-so doing for Easter? What's so-and-so doing for Christmas? And now I know why it's done. It's done because you're worried that they've got to be doing something right because they're the ones getting all the numbers, right? They're the ones getting all the people. And if they're doing that, they must be doing something right. I can remember on a cold Atlanta day. And that's really weird to say. If you've ever been in Atlanta, you know there's almost no such thing as a cold Atlanta day. But it was in February one year. It was the day that we went to record the 10,000 Reasons album, the live album for Matt Redman. It's at the Lift conference, and the music goes, the lights go, almost everything in that theater goes out. And there's only one song that you can sing at that point, right? You talk about a sea of worship leaders singing, "When the music fades, all is slipped away, and I simply come." What a perfect picture of when technology fades or when technology fails. And you realize that this big production, you don't need all of that. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. You see, when it's all said and done, the lights, the drama, the big guitars, the stems with Ableton, the multi-tracks, everything else that sometimes we go, my mind is blown. I don't know where to even start with these things. What in-ears do I get? How do I get to in-ears? What do I do? How do I get PCO and all these other things, all these things that I hear people saying that must make worship great and big and proper. How do I get there? There's one thing and one thing only: pursuing God. Don't let that slip. And I don't care how big you are. Maybe you're at a church that's 100 or more, 300 or more, 1,000 or more, 10,000 or more. That answer is going to be the same. No matter what the cost is. Meet with God to pursue your objectives. Don't meet with the church down the road and what their objectives are or what their vision is. Don't try to see whose grass is greener on the other side. See the shepherd who is tending the sheep with the grass. That's where you need to be. Take heart today, worship leader or pastor that is at a church that is less than 100. You're in the majority. But more importantly, no matter what size church, you're in the calling that a king has given you. Rest in that and rise up to it. Have a blessed day.